Welcome very, very much to Conversations. A pleasure to welcome to the program a dear long-term friend of mine, and that's Beth Lamont, who is a humanist of the highest order and has a really important take on the human condition. And Beth, so good to welcome you to MNN.
Well, I thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure.
My goodness, I've usually got so much to say, but do you know, I am just so discouraged. I'm usually an upbeat, positive person. We can do it. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
We can make changes.
Yeah.
And this shutdown in Washington.
Yeah, not to mention what might be coming up on the 17th. They're going to go right off the cliff, maybe. I don't know if it'll be averted, one would hope.
But do you know, I think our structures are so antiquated.
Yeah.
They're not meeting our modern needs.
Yeah.
I really don't think so. You know, the Supreme Court, there are just so many structures. I was at the UN, and that's another thing. That was set up in 1945.
Right.
And the Security Council has a stranglehold on it.
Veto, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's not in the best interest of all the people, all the nations.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I can understand that, but then on the other hand, I also can understand that it never has been in the interest of all the people, except in rhetoric. It's always been a small group of people who run everything.
The power brokers, yes.
The power holders, and the power has usually been measured in who had the biggest club that could hit somebody else over the head and steal, and then, you know, or assert themselves, or co-opt others, and then that was the source of what is called political legitimacy throughout all of human history. Now, there have been people who fought that. I guess Jesus tried, Spartacus tried, and there were some others who tried and everything. But among the people who mightily tried to bring some reason and move, what would we call it? The climb up Mount Sisyphus. You get the stone up and then it rolls back down. It's been a long struggle. And among the people that have really advanced that in a major way is Corliss Lamont. And you are the widow of Corliss Lamont. And Corliss Lamont was a giant in terms of human rights and the good fight, right? Maybe I think we ought to try and celebrate his memory, if you don't mind.
Yes, I would like to do that. Yes, but what would he be saying right now?
Well, I think he would be saying "Oy vey."
He would. That wasn't one of his expressions.
No, I know, but he might have been driven to it.
Might have.
Yeah.
But his mantra was almost the people's right to know.
Right.
And this is why I'm so appreciative of public access or community access. I think it's really, that should be under the control of the Federal Communication FCC Commission.
Well, things do kind of come up before them that affect the policy by which communications is done. But so it does have a role to play,
Well, but there are so many things. And the people's right to know what's going on in Utah.
What's going on in Utah? What's going on?
Well,
Utah. What's going on in Utah?
They are building. I don't know which entity it is. It's certainly not the government that we have any access to, whether it's CIA, FBI, whether it's the executive branch. It is the central intelligence of all the intelligence gathering.
In Utah, there's a lot of that going on.
They're building a world facility. You imagine?
Well, that could be. They got some sort of thing. The DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, I think it's five times the budget of the CIA, and so there's this, and then you got the NSA, with National Security Agency that Mr. Snowden has.
All of these are inaccessible to the people. That's what I'm saying. Structurally, the whole thing is obsolete. We send people to represent us, you know, in our community, to go down to Washington to duke it out with others. And the whole idea of it is so non-productive. It would seem that somebody's supposed to represent the best interests of the people in their community. If they have a factory, war plant, if drone manufacturing, they're supposed to be going down there and representing the best interests economically or politically of the people in their area. But who is representing the overall, is that to be the executive branch? Who's representing the best interests of our country or the best interests of planet Earth?
Well, those get into ecological concerns, don't they? Also, because there's a whole order of life on planet.
But they're disregarded.
Yeah, right. It seems to be. Although when you say if somebody goes from a particular, a lot of gerrymandering led to the takeover of the House of Representatives in 2010 by these people that are really sort of hard to understand and everything. But if you say you represent the people, there are various people within any particular geographical entity, and some of those people are plutocrats. So you can represent the plutocrats or the power brokers of that area, or you can be representing the mass of the people there. But there's been a tendency, and guess who has the money? It's the plutocrats who have the money, and now with Citizens United and so forth, they can give unlimited amounts of money to the Congress.
That's right.
So it's very tempting, one would think. And then the Congress people become part of the plutocratic class that takes care of itself, as always has been.
And they can ask for documentation, they can ask for things, and they're not even allowed to know. The Intelligence Committee, they lie to the Intelligence Committee.
They claim they can't let it be known for security reasons.
Right. Security. What kind of security?
Right. Insecurity.
It's so counterproductive because the drones, for instance, this is just so.
Do you see the work that Medea is doing on that?
Yes.
Benjamin. Isn't she doing great?
Just
she just was up in the Northwest Province there under very tight. Joe had a program. Joe Friendly had a great program on today.
Right.
They're having some effect on that.
Yeah.
I think they are.
But like they pointed out, it is so counterproductive.
Yeah.
If we are targeting, by what assertion, who says this person is an enemy? Of what? Of who? A rowdy troublemaker in their country, or opposing U.S. occupation, or whatever it is that causes, we don't even know by what criterion someone would be deemed an enemy.
Well, let's say, let's get
talking about targeting.
I know,
right.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And you could start having that kind of thing being done.
In our name. It's done in our name.
I saw a thing the other day where there was a guy who used to mend the door here. Nice guy. I forget his name now, but he was here, ex-soldier, right? And his what they call MOS, that's Military Occupational Specialty. When you you can drive a tank, or you can drive a machine gun or whatever. But his was sniper, and they have rifles now that they did it on the television. They have rifles that can fire with deadly accuracy 1 mile. Okay, now wait a minute. Just think about that. Now it's going to be very hard to guard against somebody deranged. And there's been a lot of elements of that. You're in a society that creates a great deal of alienation and so forth against assassinations. But there could be many drones that could be used to assassinate a political prisoner. They talk about little handguns and things that people can have. Right. But they could have, the drone thing could be migrating out into all the dissident elements that could just send up a drone and knock it like the Chicago mob used to, the North mob would wipe out the South mob with a machine gun, but now they could do it with drones. I don't know where this is going to go.
And drones are proliferating all around the globe. Many, many countries have access to them.
Well, you could have hitmen go out and do it without any threat to them. Yeah, see, it used to be if you were in the end of a gun, at least you could, or if you're in a foxhole or something, you might get shot. But now you can just do it with impunity because it's just nothing but a machine. Yeah. And they'll probably get the cost factors down so you could have little drones that would have...
That's right.
Yeah, it could be part of it could be part of a really serious dystopic function, particularly if the society falls apart, as it could do after not following on the October 17th thing to honor America's deads. Right. That would play hell on the whole world and create anarchy, which is weird. Now, when you're saying we don't have justice or we don't have a good thing, have we ever had it? There never has been justice in the sense that maybe we're talking about, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think that's
maybe
true.
If you
I want to go back to the drones, though.
Okay, go back.
Because when a drone is wiping out a group of people or something, and any survivors, they are going to say, "Those goddamn Americans, I'll get them all."
Well, I would think so, wouldn't you?
Vengeance.
Of course.
If we were trying to create a terrorist factory, a factory to keep plenty of terrorists available, so we'd have to keep the war machinery going, so we'd have plenty of supply of enemies.
Yeah.
Can you think of a better way to do it?
Well, think about the way the Indian peoples felt about the way they were treated by the Americans who came and stole all their land. And
there you go.
You know, that's what I'm trying to say is there. It's one thing to think that is there a possibility that is available to us in terms of being able to have a system that really works for all and the ecology that has never been available to us historically?
Yes.
So Daedalus had James Joyce had Daedalus say, "History is a nightmare." One could add of injustice or inequality or inability or a lack of capability from which we're attempting to awaken. Are we trying to bring about a world that never has been? We shouldn't try to repair to things that when some golden age in the past or something. We're trying to bring something about that never has been, that is now possible, that was never possible until now.
We have dreamed about.
Right.
And this idea of heaven, whatever heaven would be, we can create peace and justice on this earth. And we have instruments. They are handheld. We can communicate with people on the other side of the world.
Right.
When just 100 years ago, what was it? Sailing ships, then steamships, then international cable where you could get...
It's really true.
Think of this.
George Washington said, Franklin was over in Paris negotiating. He said, "We haven't heard from Franklin. We haven't heard from Benjamin for about 9 months now. Yeah. If we don't hear within a month or so, we better write him a letter." It took 3 months to get a letter across the ocean.
Isn't that something?
Now it's instantaneous.
Now we can do it.
Yeah, right.
But we have tools.
Yeah.
We have tools.
Right.
Also, the repression of the people's rights and the people's ability to communicate with each other. These tools are also expanding.
What do you think of Mr. Snowden? Or what do you think of Assange? Or what do you think of Bradley? Or what is it, Chelsea Manning?
Heroes.
Yeah.
They are heroes.
Yeah, it seems that way to me in a way.
Corliss would be celebrating them.
He would be, because Corliss Lamont was a great civil libertarian.
Right.
Yeah.
And the people's right to know was so very, very important. There should not be secrecy. And Daniel Ellsberg.
The Pentagon Papers, the Sullivan decision.
Corliss was supportive of him.
He was supportive of him.
Yes, he was.
And Corliss was the first to challenge seriously in the course, sued him. McCarthy, didn't he? When everybody else was just bowing down to the communist menace, that Mr. McCarthy was riding.
That's something else
God
I
bless
want to
him.
talk about. Yes. Yeah. Well, he was in the right place at the right time, and he had the wherewithal to do this.
Yeah, he came from the Lamont family. There was General Motors or something, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. His father, Thomas William Lamont, was a partner of J.P. Morgan.
J.P. Morgan, banking, right. Yeah. So he was from the privileged class.
Right, but he learned at the family
a
dining
traitor to
table.
his class, was he?
That's God? He was. Yeah, that was the assertion. I'm sure he probably said, "Class? What class? We had money."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But he was not destroyed by McCarthy, as many people had been.
Absolutely, yeah.
Lost their positions and lost their livelihood. And
COINTELPRO.
All of those things.
Yeah. And the Eastland Bill, where they had set up in detention centers against national security threat to the uprising of the American people.
I still worry about that.
I think there still are detention centers that are on the map or the planning board,
I heard you,
for massive numbers.
I heard you mentioning, was it 82 millions of people in Central Park? That was...
No, it was over 1 million. There was over 1 million people in 1982. Yeah, I remember so well. It was just wonderful.
When they come out in the streets again, what will happen? What kinds of things will take place?
Let's think about that. That was Mr. Reagan going full bore toward undercutting and winning the race against the major threat to the capitalist system that the Soviet Union represented. He's celebrated by the people that are doing the things in the Tea Party and so forth, by and large and everything, for having beat the enemy. We won. We're the winner. We won.
What did we win?
And that's what the history of the world is about. Who can go with the biggest club and hit the other people and beat them into submission. It's called realpolitik, and it gives political legitimacy to an order, although it gets nuanced, of course, with co-option and culture and things and everything. But whoever's got the weapons advantage can conquer and control and set up what's called legitimate. Yeah. So they defeated that, and he was going to put, to do that, he was going to take and put, weapons in Europe. And there was, and we had tens of thousands of interballistic missiles with atomic warhead and a capability that was able to wipe out the whole species. And there was a reaction, Miss Caldecott out of Australia and all that, and they were there in the whole move. So there was literally 1 million people at that event because it was felt that it was such a threat. But then the people who say he won by being strong. You want somebody who's got strength and power to go out and win and make the American way the way for all the world. And so that's part of the history.
I was participating with the Occupy Wall Street group. And what a shame that that was treated so badly.
Yeah, it was,
And dissed by the
established
media,
Mr. Bloomberg said he had a 33,000-man army. That was the NYPD to beat that down. Sort of makes you think of the movie Les Miserables, or the play. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah, you were camping out with them, huh?
Right.
Good for you.
Well, just down there, agreeing with, and Corliss Lamont would have been there.
Oh yeah, he would have been there.
He would have been. Can the camera?
Let me hold it here. Let me see. Let's see. What do you want? We want this or this?
This side.
This side. Okay. Maybe you can come in on this. Thanks.
Thank you.
There you go. That's Corliss the Great.
Right, and because he was advocating socialist changes, and. Can I read this?
Yes, please.
Socialism, ye gods, not socialism.
Yeah, come back on it again. Yeah, come on.
And here
please,
he is.
Thanks to Robert.
Alrighty. But not even, we can't even handle socialism on our doorstep. What have we been doing to our neighbors?
You're talking about Cuba?
Cuba, South America, we have been, how about the school of assassins that teach military how to suppress their own people. But let me read this.
Okay, you read it. Just read it off that thing. Okay, just come back on her.
Socialism, ye gods, not socialism, not even on our doorstep, but look what we've got. We not only do we already have socialized militarism.
Yeah, that's true.
Take the people's money and buy armaments. But now we have socialized capitalism. We have to bail out the Wall Streeters that are in trouble.
16 trillion.
Yep. Corliss Lamont, an American patriot born of Wall Street wealth, saw how capitalism thwarts our democracy, and he warned us of the danger I keep saying we have the best democracy that money can buy.
Yeah, right.
And that's so obvious.
Yeah.
He said, it's easy to see that if capitalists can succeed. I'm going to put on my glasses.
I know, I have to do it. I have to put them on all the time.
Right. That capitalists can succeed in setting up themselves and their professional henchmen as the sacred priests of economics, who alone know the inner workings of this abstruse discipline. Then the person in the street will have no alternative except to bow down in awe before them, and it would become all but impossible to develop a mass movement to change the existing order.
Yeah, right.
And
is that a quote from him? Or
he wrote that.
Yeah,
he wrote that. And that is in his book, You Might Like Socialism.
Yeah, and
there's a whole history with
Lefties, let's show this cover of this book, okay? Please, if you can, Robert. Lefties are in their right minds. This is Beth Lamont with reintroduction to Corliss Lamont, You Might Like Socialism. So apparently you're a hardcore right-wing protector of capitalism, I guess, huh? Well, somebody has to protect the poor dears, you know, in their palaces, you know.
Right,
but I'm making a joke, of course.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Corliss's history.
Please do. He was a giant. And when it was not easy to be a giant, because there was really, the country, J. Edgar Hoover and the COINTELPRO and all of these kind of things really had in the 50s.
Well,
they really
it started a lot earlier
it went
than
back
that.
longer. Yeah, okay,
oh my goodness. Palmer raids.
Yeah,
there
right.
are all kinds of scary history.
Right.
If you can Google, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it that you can Google things
anything
and find. And I hope that they don't become controlled some way. That we can still have free access to information.
Yeah.
But let me tell you about Corliss's history.
Please do, by all means. He was a hero of mine, yeah.
His father...
I loved him. I met him only a couple times,
yes.
but I liked him a lot, yeah.
Well, I was...
He had a lot of gumption.
He was a fighter and a lover.
Yeah, good. Glad to hear it. I understand there was something in the order of a number of children of that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He had four children.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
okay. And you've done pretty well yourself.
Well, that's my department.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd already left the kids behind and came to New York.
Yeah,
and I came to interview the famous Corliss Lamont.
Is that what brought you here, right? From where, darling?
Well, let's see. I'm San Francisco. I'm a wilted flower child.
Yeah, right.
Make love, not war.
Yeah,
Haight-Ashbury.
Yeah.
But
anyway, we were talking about Corliss.
Right. So his father was in Europe on banking business.
Right.
And he met up with a Harvard classmate, William Boyce Thompson, who was then head of the International Red Cross.
Okay.
And this was 1917.
Wow. Okay.
And scary things were going on.
Yeah.
The Germans, were fighting actually on two fronts.
Right.
They were fighting in France and in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And the Russian fighters there, were under the Tsar, of course.
Yeah.
And doing very badly, freezing. They didn't
what
have
year
proper...
Are you talking, 17?
1917.
The year of the Revolution.
Well, not yet. Wait a minute.
Sorry. Early 17.
Early 70.
Okay.
Because their soldiers were pitted against the Germans, and they don't have proper support.
Mm.
And I think a lot of them were saying, what the hell are we doing out here on this bleak front where they're freezing and tattered without...
It do get cold out in Siberia.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah.
And so William Boyce Thompson had been delivering aid, to the soldiers.
Okay.
And to the people fighting on the front. And he said, if the Allies would be helping, bringing armaments and supplies and everything to the Russians to keep them fighting Germany, to keep Germany fighting a two-sided war, it would
dissipate the German power.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Corliss's father thought this was a sound appeal, And they went then to England to Prime Minister Lloyd George.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And he said, you know, by Jove, that's a jolly good idea.
That sounds
something
very
like
good
that,
English,
you know.
yeah, huh?
And you go home and get Woodrow Wilson on board, and we will become allies, and we will support the Russians.
I'll be darned.
At
Okay,
that
yeah.
point, there had already been move to have this Bolshevik revolution and revolt against the Tsar's
Yeah, right.
forces, you know. And they were more intent, I think, on that than fighting Germany. So I may be misrepresenting it and sort of, you know.
Well, he was involved in that then.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so Corliss's first inkling of this was a wire that came from Father. That he's coming home early for Christmas. But it was not at all to spend Christmas with the family, because he and Thompson were on their urgent mission to get down to Washington to talk to Woodrow Wilson.
I see, yeah.
But they were not allowed to accomplish their mission or present their appeal. And I think of this makes me goosepimply.
Yeah.
What might have been different?
Yeah.
What might have been different?
That's
And somebody was making derogatory remarks, you know, about why I should be helping those damn atheist, commie Bolsheviks, bad-mouthing what they're hearing. And I don't even know what they could be hearing, because it's coming by steamship, you know, or by teletype. Just think how, you know, all the information was so meager.
Yeah,
and
right.
How would you even know whether it's propaganda?
Right.
Whether it's the truth?
Right.
You know, there were observers there reporting.
Vance Packard. Yeah.
Well, and
Hidden persuaders.
John Reed also.
Oh, John
Reed was there.
West,
and he was a Harvard man that Corliss really respected. This came later.
They were friends, or no?
No, they were different generations.
Yeah, okay,
He was in the teens, of course.
Right, okay, right,
And, but he's the one who wrote 10 Days That Shook the World.
Exactly.
And he was both an observer and a participant, you know, of the development of the Bolshevik Revolution.
Right. Would Corliss have thought of himself as a communist?
Well, I think communist was not. He kept being accused of being a member of the Communist Party, which he was not. He thought they were too bumbling and disorganized, actually. But the ideal of socialism, where the people, and I'm sure that he was saying,
what's a rich
now
tradition?
This is the way you can have a democracy, power for the workers. And that was the original declaration. You know, the soldiers, the sailors, the farmers, they were saying, you know, we will take power. And that ideal of egalitarianism really appealed.
Yeah, well, I think it's appealed to a lot of the better angels of our nature throughout all of history, I think. Let's take care of, I mean, all of our spiritual leaders, Jesus and so forth, they said, take care of the least among you. It's been roundly ignored by the political class du jour.
If Jesus were in the street right now, handing out
he would be at Occupy. I believe. Don't you think he would have done
I would sure give him some humanist hugs.
Yes, right. Yeah.
I really would.
So you think of yourself as a humanist then, right?
Humanist, yes.
And have you been like that all your adult life? Or did Corliss help take you that way? Or how did you get there by your own? Or
he gave my philosophy a name. I had never heard of humanism. I thought I invented it. You know, when I'm doing my push-aways, which atheists are doing. Well, atheists saying, you know, well, my own growth was, Mary, I don't think so. Mary, you're in trouble, no matter what the angels told you.
Mary, who's Mary?
Virgin Mary.
Oh, Virgin. I wasn't sure if Mary was a person.
No.
Metaphorically,
And the Bible is full of vengeance and murder and
it's a pretty horror story.
And so I was doing my push-aways from it.
Push-aways, I see.
Push-aways. That's it. Well, I think atheist point of view, you know, is still doing their push-aways, but still focusing on religion.
Were you in the Universalist or the Unitarian kind of tradition or something like that? That's where I was coming out of.
Yeah, but I had brushes with them, but I was fully occupied raising my family and working full time.
Right. Yeah, you had a lot of family. Yeah,
but just trying to work it out in my head.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, "Oh, what a shame you don't have any faith." And I said, "What?"
Well, yeah, right.
I got faith. Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
I have faith that we can be better than we have been.
I would
that
hope
we're
so, don't you?
evolving.
Yeah.
My
We are
gosh, yes.
evolving, exactly.
I want us to be evolving.
Yeah.
I think of this as if we are going through the steps of our ancestors, that we're in kind of a muscular stage where we have to use brute force against each other, like you said.
Well, that's the way it's
and may
been.
we get to
I
a
think.
wiser but this is what I said about the little handheld things. We can identify with people on the other side of the world. We
Yeah.
can never do that.
No, you can communicate in real time.
In real
Yes,
time,
that's
right.
amazing.
But we used to hear, oh, those mountain people up there, they probably eat their babies, and we river
Yes,
people are, this tribal kind of thing.
Right.
And the superstitions and the allegations.
But
and
you think about it in a way, we were so ignorant.
So
We've been so
ignorant.
ignorant in terms of what we're doing. And now things are moving, particularly the young coming up. I mean, they got to keep. It's exponential.
It is.
The increase in knowledge and availability of knowledge through communication.
Honey, I see babies
Yeah.
in strollers
Yeah.
choosing things on their little handheld.
Right.
That is so amazing.
Well, I wonder, I've talked it over, I got a major theme and everything like that and everything. One of the things is the weapons became species lethal. That 82 thing was signaling that, but it was around 1970 most of the modeling showed. You got all of 200,000 years of human history where we were in a certain sense impotent in terms of our destructive capability. We were also equally ignorant in terms of having the material reality that made it possible for everybody's interest to be taken into account, including the environment.
Exactly.
Throughout all of history.
All right, now
that's changed.
Honey, you don't even have to
Both
have
on
nuclear,
both vectors.
But you don't even have to have nuclear detonation to wipe us out. Now, planet Earth itself is in ultimate danger.
Okay,
Imminent
spell that
danger.
out. You mean ecologically? Or?
Ecologically.
You think so, yeah?
I don't think so. I know so. I know so. And nobody can convince me otherwise.
Are you talking about global warming and that kind of thing?
Global warming,
yeah.
yes. And the ice caps are melting.
They definitely are.
They definitely are.
And the tundra is melting. And
That's
those
it.
mastodons with the methane giving and all, they got the Northwest Passage through the Arctic Sea now.
They were trying to find
where they were looking for, like that. Yeah, right.
But it is scary. It truly, truly is. And the rate at which the polar ice caps are melting is frightening. If it continues and there's no way to stop it, even if we stop putting CO2 into the air at this point, the reverberations, I guess you'd call it, the CO2 that's already in the air.
Yeah, and methane, too.
And methane, right, will do their destruction for a long time to come.
Could I take another? Could I take a? Go ahead. Finish. Spell it out. Yeah.
But there's no move yet to stop the CO2.
There's a move that's trying to be borning. I suppose you're helping to bring that along.
Right.
Yeah, anti-fracking and that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, fracking. That is so.
But
scary.
I don't think that the fracking or the global warming even, in and of itself, except that it would lead, what one worries about is the breakdown, the vast runaway anarchy or conditions that even if that were to happen, it wouldn't mean the end of our species. People would survive.
We'd learn to swim.
There would be some survival. But what it would lead to is the unleashing of the technological extensions of our capability, the weapons, in an angst so deeply felt by forces that are being challenged in such a way that, because when you talk about the use of the weapons that can wipe out entire species, every single human being dead. Now, when you're talking about that, that would only happen, as far as I can tell, not, it'd be the unleashing of the weapon systems that have evolved. That's the only thing that could wipe out the species. Evolution could carry on, even if there was big changes in weather, that kind of stuff. People could find places to monitor people. It's only that. It's only at our own hand that we have the ability to stop evolution of the primate or of the hominoid species. And we've never had that until about 1970. We were even protected in Second World War, weren't we? We were trying to kill ourselves as best we possibly could, but we were protected in our impotence. But that line has been crossed. Yeah. And the only thing that could stop evolution, or at least of the hominoid line, the Homo sapien line, seems to me to be the weapons, not the blowing up of the thing at Yellowstone or a massive tidal wave or any nature force couldn't do that. It's only at our own hands we have the ability to stop, to kill, use the word, to kill the entire Homo sapien species, as modelings show that. On the other side, we also have a capability of taking care of everybody that never has been available to us. Do you understand? It's a two-headed sword. Right. We have and that capability of taking care with good design and with knowledge and with exponential increasing capability to provide new design parameters for operating the whole economic system and the ecological system of space. An operating manual for Spaceship Earth is available to us, that we have the means of which we can utilize systems that can bring equity, needs, reasonable wants to not only the humanity, all of humanity, rather than just a few in a zero-sum where if some wins, other has to lose, which has been the attitude and the thought in which all of our institutions evolve. So we're at a time of maybe like liberation in a way that is equally existentially new.
But something magic has to happen.
Well, that might be something like Beth Lamont coming along with her humanist activity in the traditions of Corliss. Well, and there's a long tradition of intellectual ability to bring, has been ignored by the political class usually, but they're part of it also.
All right, I'm tossing out a new idea.
Okay, good. New ideas are needed.
What about, who cares what happens on Earth? We have celestial real estate. And we've been praying about this, and we have a place to go after we screw up here.
Heaven.
Heaven.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think that has been kind of a destructive force? That thinking there's another place to go? It doesn't matter what we do here, we can... I worry about that. And Corliss dealt with that also.
Well, that's
this idea of some supernatural. And...
well, I don't know, you asked me, I don't know if you did ask me or not, but I'm of opinion that...
do you believe that when you die, you'll go to heaven?
No, I can't believe in anything, because that gives an absolutist quality that I can't get absolute...
You might.
Well, no, I can't give absolutism to anything other than a synergistic pattern of evolutionary process. But I mean... Humanity was born, and we came out, 200,000 years ago. I guess we understand things more and more. And we did have a reflective consciousness that made it possible for us to abstractly ask the larger questions like, what's it all about? That I don't think is characteristic of a crocodile or a buttercup or other aspects of evolution.
They don't think about, I don't think they have this?
I don't think they have the capability to do it. It's a conjecture. I think we had the ability, cavemen, they painted those things in France. They had the ability to ask the question, what is it all about? It was not characteristic of lesser stages of consciousness. So I am very willing. No, I'm of the opinion. Poor suffering humanity. They're wandering around eating carrion, in such a terribly difficult situation and so forth. And they had to come up with and they had the curse, if that's the right term, of being able to say, what's it all about, rather than just going to get another meal like a lot of the creatures embedded in nature. So it was a heavy cross to bear. So they came up with creation stories, and I can understand they would do that to understand and answer that
even
need.
A child growing up wants to know what, why,
Yeah.
how. You know, in the childhood of humankind, we did the same thing. We had no science. We couldn't go to Google and ask, where did...
That's right. We didn't have a telescope to see the orbit pathways of Jupiter.
So we did what children do. In the absence of information, you make up the story.
Well, I think we could carry it further, Beth. I think
they did it pretty good.
Yeah, I think we could carry it further because apparently, and these are all open to new understanding and everything. Apparently, the succeeding species out of which we emerged was Homo habilis, and then they in turn came out of Australopithecine 4 to 7 million years ago. There was no human beings. There were no human beings had not evolved. Then there comes up the new, and then there comes up Homo habilis. That's about 1.5 million years, and out of Homo habilis, about 200,000 years ago, Homo sapien emerged evolutionarily, and we're coming to the end of the Homo sapien era. That's something that we could begin to start thinking, that we're coming to a point of fulfilling of a process that might lead to where there is a system, 100 trillion cells in a human organism, Beth. 100 trillion. And each cell matters, and each cell is in total communication with all the other cells, making up a system called a human being. It's the same with a frog or a buttercup or anything. There are models in there about maybe the NAA needs to know all the information about you so that the system, if you have a system that is working well for the whole system, rather than in a truncated way of doing that, you can make explanation. But I just think it's just been a long suffering. I'm a positive. I think there's positive progress. I think we may be coming to a point. It's like coming to the end of a species, a punctuated equilibrium.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Well, that's what I think.
Okay.
And that's something it should be up on the table. Yeah. That we're not enthralled to the outdated institutions out of historical context that is being qualitatively transformed as we talk. It's hard to get your mind around the idea. We may be the defining generation. Isaac Asimov said, we are the defining generation. After 10,000 generations, this is the one that makes all the difference in terms of moving toward a new relationship in a liberated relation in the cosmos is now available to us.
And Carl Sagan said, we are star stuff. We are star stuff.
Well, that is true. It's all connected.
Well,
Everything's
let's go back to the beginning.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You shouldn't get me off on a rant.
But Homo sapiens, there was
We're all
a
African,
point.
yeah.
But there was a point. I have a question for you, and this is something that science and anthropology is not properly answering yet.
Okay.
When you have shaggy fur hair, it's to keep you warm.
I guess, yeah.
Well, okay. And then to have subcutaneous fat is for the same purpose, right? To keep you warm.
So. I would think so.
All right. How did this little undifferentiated, I can't even say it,
undifferentiated,
thank you, species on the torrid plains where the trees are disappearing in the heat of Africa, why would it suddenly lose its hair and get subcutaneous fat over a long period of time, over millions of years?
I have no
Why
idea.
would it give up one kind of warming and have another? And
you ask me seriously? I have no idea how that happened.
Okay. All right.
I have no way of understanding that. Or, I'm sure there are people who study that or would have some advantage would have been given to it.
Aquatic ape theory. That during the scorched plains, when there were no trees for these little animals to climb up in, most of them were eaten by the four-legged predators.
We were prey for a long time with the big cats,
But those who escaped to the Great Lakes or to the seashore, and think of this, and could go out in the water on their tippy toes, maybe holding their babies on their heads, could escape. And they got very good at balancing on their hind legs And if we lived for millions of years in an aquatic milieu,
I don't understand. We being humanity? Humanity hasn't existed but for about 200 years. 200,000 years.
Well, these are our ancestors.
If you go back through the evolutionary thing,
Because we do have subcutaneous fat.
Well,
and only aquatic animals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you said it. You said it. Aquatic animals.
Yeah, I don't quite get the point. I don't quite understand.
Because we would be shaggy and hairy instead of having. Other primates do not have subcutaneous fat.
Well, I don't know. That would be an individual's process of evolution.
Right.
I did study with I did a PhD and all that. I studied with the leading geographer in the world. His name was Carl Sawyer, and he had. He was a real professor, and he would sit at the head of the table. He actually sat at the head of he had a beard, like a scholar's supposed to have, and he would smoke a pipe. And he was a real scholar, and he really thought. And he had developed, among other things, he had thought the seaside theory of the evolution of early humanity, and he claimed that we did have a problem with the cats eating us. Yes. Because we were not at all swift as a cheetah or anything.
We don't have any natural weapons. We don't have any.
But he also said you had headlands, particularly in the sea, and this is based on understanding the geography at the time and all that. But that there was a seaside, and there were headlands that you could put up rock protection just by sticking just plain old rocks up that gave protection against the cats at the headlands of that. And also that the seaside provided an almost unending source of protein through clams.
That's it. Clams.
You have clams that are there in abundance and to be picked up.
That's it.
So that the seaside was a place, and also they probably did a lot of migrating that way.
Yeah,
but
that is.
But the details of how subcutaneous fat or something, I don't know what it.
Well, Elaine
it's just
Morgan.
all a process of natural selection. Yeah.
Right. Elaine Morgan.
Yeah.
If you'd like to research her or Google.
Okay.
And she has the aquatic ape and the descent. The descent of woman.
Oh, okay.
So man, the mighty hunter.
Yeah.
You know, forget him.
Right.
It wasn't the bashing of heads
Well,
that caused us to survive. It was the nurturing and the protection.
I think you're absolutely right. They're absolutely.
That's it. The descent of woman.
Well, you've got the male and I don't think they should be talking about women. Well, they can. They can talk about women and men. I think they should be talking about male and female functions in the universe.
Yes.
They're different, and they have a relationship.
The tradition that they have, that it was man the mighty hunter that saved humanity. And I think
well, that's because that history is written by men.
Yeah! Come on, shake on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will on that. Yeah, that's called propaganda or propaganda.
Oh, there is so much propaganda.
Oh, yeah, it all is.
I wanted to talk about, this is something that was very, very interesting to Corliss.
Oh.
And back to his family dining table, they lost a first grandson in the family, and this was was
devastating.
Devastating. We have time?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't know. He was. Oh, I lost my.
Oh.
That's what he was signaling.
Just put it on again.
Alrighty, but they lost a family member. He had just graduated from Harvard.
Devastating. Yeah.
Right, and mother was inconsolable, and this was Corliss's father's sister, his Aunt Lucy.
Yeah.
And she went to spiritual guidance.
Yeah,
she went,
you can get solace. Yeah, right. And that's worthy. That's important. Right.
And so she was like immersed in it, and she would bring messages from the other world to their family dining table. And his mother and father would sort of, tolerate it like that.
Yeah.
Corliss was very interested. He was very, very interested. Is there, another world? What is this about? And he was in Sunday school, and as a matter of fact, at one time in his life, he thought that he might be a minister. He was born on a Good Friday, and his mother thought that was an omen and things like that.
Yeah.
But he soon decided that he would go for law instead of the ministry. And then he gave that up also. He said, there's no justice there. It's just winning and losing.
Yeah, right.
You know, pitting one side against the other.
Yeah.
And that's how he really worked his way into a philosophy. And trying to figure it out, what's it all about.
Well, God bless him. It's a long and rich tradition, and that's what we're all in. But that's people. I like to think that's what human purpose may be about. An anti-entropic function in the universe that can move across chaos and bring increased patterns of conscious understanding to the process of which we are part universally.
All right. Well, anyway, he's going to Columbia, and his master's thesis, he chose issues of immortality.
Right, okay.
To go into these aspects, and he's searching, historical writings that deal with this concept of the hereafter.
Right.
And so that was his published
it's a biggie,
original Issues of Immortality. And then a year or two later, he turned it around with his conclusion, and he wrote Illusion,
the illusion of immortality. Okay.
And dealing with, people's need to believe.
Yeah.
And he said, this is powerful. This is such a powerful force.
Because you mean the idea of immortality?
The idea of immortality.
Oh, yeah. Well, that would be.
The fear.
Again, I don't think
death.
the crocodile contemplates this.
I don't think it does.
Okay.
Elephants do.
Well, okay, that's interesting. When that become part of the conscious pattern of it. It's a big thing about evolution. But anyway, so the illusion is different than the issues. No, it's an illusion. You have an. Well, there are some illusions that people have. There's some people who think love's a good thing, and I guess maybe it is, or generosity is a good thing. Is that an illusion? Or any belief system is an illusion? Or is there anything real at all? Is there anything absolute at all?
I think love is real, and
Seems
that's a connection you don't want to let go of your loved ones. My mother argued with me. She said,
or you don't want to get your own loving soul yourself.
Well, that's true too. But just think, and I'm a humanist chaplain, and I've had to do ceremonies for babies. And this is the saddest thing. A little life snuffed out. And with an older person, you can talk about how lucky we were to have them.
They had a rich, full life.
They're and their memory is with us. Nobody can take away.
Empathy is very important. Among us. Right. I understand.
True. So, but the idea that you can go to another place and not be dead is such a stranglehold, and this is the power that religion holds over us. Never mind the logic that, whatever, it'll be our children or our good works that live after us, and that's enough. Corliss would say that. This life is such a gift. It's enough. It's enough. Why should we?
And it's also part of a larger pattern.
That's true.
That we can discern. And we can do pattern recognition. And we can get a sense of purpose. And we may be along a long evolutionary train that we're about to be the pace setters of a whole new way of relating in the universe, a liberated way. They all would have, most of our spiritual people had some sort of a vision of a larger or an enhanced or a larger or reality, and that we may be actually be aborning that period now.
But here and
now. Here and now. Is that the name of your program?
That's the name of
That's the name of your program you have.
And never mind hereafter. What are we doing here and now? I work with religious people.
I know. Sure.
And this is the whole point. It doesn't matter how they are motivated. If they are going to some reward, if they believe that there's a heaven waiting for their good works, so be it. Let it be. But their good works here and now, taking care of refugees, helping to feed people, helping to heal the sick, all of these human needs, that's what is so urgent.
That is really important,
And telling the truth. And I'm so proud of your work.
The truth is a many splendored thing.
Well, but...
you think there is an ultimate truth or something?
I do. And
you do?
I think it has to do with nature and our place in the universe. I think the universe is completely indifferent to us. It doesn't give a bleep whether we live or die. can you imagine appealing to some being, something out there?
Yeah.
I think we have, you know, I was doing this. How do you get things done?
Oh, yeah.
You know, with this way, or with, you know, push up your sleeves. With your own hard work. Yeah. But the people's need to know is so very, very important. Right. And all the hypocrisies, all the propaganda that we have. Yeah. I'm wincing now that socialism is still, after this whole century, is still in disrepute. You know, and people will say, well, we need health care, we need better schools, you know, we should, you know, diminish the military. There are so many things that need to be done. Take care of the elderly. Yeah, right. These kinds of things. And then they say, oh my God, Obama is a socialist or something like that. I think this is the dichotomy with the Tea Party. The Tea Party is saying, you know, we want freedom, we don't want government telling us what to do, the government on our back. But there is an obligation, and it has to do with responsibility. You know, we may be free. My freedom to swing my arm should stop short of your nose. And I would expect the entity that's in charge, the city government, the federal government, whatever, to protect your nose from my aggression. And freedom isn't all
licensed,
that, and it's not what it's cracked up to be. You can be free to eat out of a garbage can if you're hungry enough. I don't want to hear about freedom as much as I want to hear about
like you want
responsibility.
Liberty. It sounds to me, Beth Lamont, like you would like to have liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
Including all the creatures and the ecology and everything that does exist. And that seems to me a kind of motivation that is a very rich one. And now we're right out of time.
I know
you got to go really fast. Another thing. Freedom is
as freedom does.
As freedom
Corliss wrote about House Un-American
That's got a forward by none other than Bertrand Russell, his own self. Big giant, Whitehead,
But this is Corliss' story about all of the allegations, and it was in Wall Street's best interest to not allow this wave of socialism to happen. Imagine the workers demanding more money or better conditions.
Ingrates.
My God. And the church. Those Bolsheviks over there are destroying the church.
Well.
What about us? We need, you know, obedient, and that's the collusion of
obedient
church and
wage
state.
Slaves for a corporate capital cubicle existence, right? Well, listen, okay, that's really good. Thanks for such a very, very with such a very wonderful guy like Corliss Lamont. All the help you gave to him and all the help he gave to you. And your pleasure to have had the perception. Beth Lamont, Humanist Extraordinaire, Chaplain, Human Being, Half Moon Foundation. And thank you, my darling.
Thank you.
So very great.
Thank you
for coming in. And this is something that may be just a morning now, even though the birth pangs we're going through now.
When I came in, I was discouraged, and now I think you've got me revved up.
Oh, good.
Believing that something good is going to happen.
Well, let's hope so. It's the reverse, better than the alternative, extreme alternative on the negative side. Thanks for coming back again tomorrow. Thanks a lot.